Hello and welcome to part 2 of our video series, driving down to Florida. I know it's been a few months and I've had a very busy summer, but thankfully that's behind us and I've finally got around to getting some time to do some video editing. Also, I've acquired a new microphone, so hopefully the sound is a little better than my last video based on some feedback that I got from other people. Now, while in Florida, the big question is okay, we made it to Florida. We've made it down there. And so what now? How do we keep the vehicle charged? How do we get around, moving around in the Orlando area? And what I did is we ended up renting an Airbnb, and this Airbnb had a 120 volt plug on the front of the unit, and I used the 120 volt plug from the portable charge cord from the Bolt EV and set the car to the 8 amp setting, plugged it in just to check it out, and let it run for a couple of hours, make sure nothing overheated, everything worked fine, and everything did work fine. And as it turned out, charging at 120 volt 8 amp just overnight added about 30 to 35, sometimes 40 miles of range to the Bolt EV, which for the most part for our daily driving needs met most of our needs. Our Airbnb in Davenport, Florida was not that far from the Disney resorts and most of the major tourist attractions in Florida. So for the most part, that worked fantastic for us. And that was great. Now, some of the Disney resorts that we visited also had level 2 charging. The first day while we were down there, we went to Epcot Studios to get there. And, just as it turns out, as we were pulling into Epcot Studios, there was another Bolt EV right in front of us. And we were chasing him in. There's only 4 charging stations at Epcot. So it was interesting chasing him in and seeing him. But as it turns out, he pulled in, talked to the people there on the radio, and he got directed to the charging stations, but we were told there was no more charging spots available. So we parked in general parking. But as it turns out, even the car in front of us, the charging stations were not available even for him. So he had to turn around and park afterwards. We saw him turn around and move afterwards. So he didn't get to charge either. So we didn't get to charge the first day at Epcot because the charging stations were in use. But as I said, because of the level 1 charging at the Airbnb, we were okay. We made it okay. On the second day, we decided to check out Animal Kingdom at the Disney Studios. And silly me, I didn't check PlugShare before going. And I didn't realize that Animal Kingdom had charging stations as well, too. So we just drove to Animal Kingdom and parked there as we normally would. And as we were pulling in, we could see that there was charging stations and they were available. So, unfortunately, we didn't use the level 2 charging stations at Animal Kingdom either. But, again, because of the level 1 charging that we were using at our Airbnb, we were still fine. The next day after that, we decided to go to the Kennedy Space Center. And Kennedy Space Center is a bit of a drive from Davenport. It's a little over an hour drive. It was really windy that day. The weather was not that great that day. And in this situation, I knew I was going to need a bit more of a charge. So we ended up stopping at one of the EVgo stations in Orlando on our way over there just to give us up to a bit of a charge. And also, as a precaution, I knew Kennedy Space Center also had level 2 charging there, but they only had one of the J1772 that Bolt EV could use. And there was 2 Tesla destination chargers there as well too. But I did not purchase the adapter to use the Tesla destination charger. So I basically just stuck with the J1772 and the one charging station that was there, and hopefully it would be available. But the DC fast charge station that I picked up in Orlando, it would be enough charge to get me to Kennedy and back again if necessary. But as it turns out, we drove to Kennedy Space Center. We got there, and the level 2 charging station was available, the J1772. So we managed to plug in and charge while we were there as well too. So we had plenty of charge to make it back to Orlando, and all was good. Then the next day, which was the Thursday, we decided to go check out the Magic Kingdom at Disney. And this was a little bit interesting because Magic Kingdom also has many charging stations there as well too, a level 2. And as we pulled into the parking lot, we went the wrong direction. We went into the general parking by accident, and as it turns out, that was a mistake. You need to be in the far right lane at Walt Disney Magic Kingdom to get to the charging stations. So we actually pulled in, went to general parking, and then we missed where the charging stations were. So we had to actually get back out again, go back in. But at least the people there were very understanding at the gate. We had already paid for parking. They said, no problem, just go ahead, you're clear. And we pulled in. I followed the directions this time along the right. A guy had to actually let us in, move some traffic cones in order to direct us to where the charging stations were. But we made it there, and we actually managed to get a full level 2 charge while we were at Disney's Magic Kingdom, which was good. So we were actually fully 100% charged at this point, and that was great. So the next day, we actually went to Disney Hollywood Studios on the Friday, and we managed to fully charge again at level 1 overnight. And then when we were at Hollywood Studios, there was no charging stations at Hollywood Studios, but we managed to make it back to our Airbnb again and plug into level 1, and we managed to fully charge again that Friday night before heading back on our journey for our drive back. We managed to fully charge on level 1, and that was a great way to start our Saturday for our journey back, which will be part of part 3 of our series. So stay tuned. I will also get into doing a video on our journey back, and the journey back was actually a little bit smoother for the most part than our journey down, as some charging stations had opened. Electrify America had opened some stations in Georgia, which allowed us to take a more direct route back. But stay tuned, and you'll see more details for that. All right, thank you.